Oh, looks like we're working. Okay, we're going to have a little look at our straps, and we're going to start with the fine rolled strap that I was doing. That's the strap that's on the bag with the square Celtic design. And we start off with a piece of faux leather or fabric that is 2 inches wide. Now, if you're doing fabric, the first thing you need to do is just turn a small 1/4 inch hem at the end on both ends. It just needs to be 1/4 inch. It's not a big drama, but you just need to put that on if you're using fabric. Your fabric would need to be interfaced as well. I'm using faux leather, so it's all good. So you've made a panel that's 2 inches wide, and we are going to make a few marks on this panel. We're going to start with, we're going to make a mark 1/4 inch in from the side. We're marking along this shortest edge, so we're marking 1/4 inch on one side and 1/4 inch in from the other side. Then we are going to make a line across that is 2 inches away from the very end. So you have 1/4 inch, 1/4 inch, and then a 2 inch. And what we're going to do is we're going to use our rotary cutter, or you can mark it with a pencil and cut with a pair of scissors, but we're just going to trim off those additional pieces of faux leather or fabric. So we're effectively just shaping the ends, and we're going to do that on both ends. Now, I'm only going to show you one end because I'm actually just doing this as a demo strap. I've actually already made the straps for my bag because I made them first, which is something I don't usually do. Having shaped both ends, you're then going to do your, we're going to do this very much like we do an ordinary strap, in so much as we are going to draw a line that goes centrally from one end to the other. We're going to use our fabulous double-sided, and I'm just going to do it on one end of this. And you need your double-sided to go almost to the very end of your strap, so it's no good finishing it here. You need to finish right towards the end of the strap. Tell you what, the next sew along, I'm not going to be using double-sided tape. I'm going to find something that I don't need to use this stuff with. So we're going to take off one side, and let me just bring this a little bit closer so that hopefully you can see. Now, where we've shaped this end bit, we're just going to bring the edge in so that it touches that central line. Now, you'll notice when you get to the point where the strap widens, you have to just bend your fabric or your faux leather slightly to make it fit. But fabric, because it's woven, is malleable and pliable, so you should be able to easily bend it round that kind of angle. What we're looking for is a strap that has a narrower end. Now, if I'm doing faux leather, I don't finish the end off at all. I just leave it as it is. It tucks up inside of the other piece, so it's not a big drama. That sounds ridiculous, but you'll understand when I've made this, and you'll see. Look at that, came off a cinch. I must be getting good at this. So the other side, you're going to do exactly the same thing again, and you're going to butt it up against the seam that you've already pushed in. So you'll end up with a strap that is effectively 1 inch wide, but the ends are narrower. They're shaped in, so they're only 3/4 inch wide. So I'm just sticking that down. Okay. Now, for most rolled straps, you will need, people use plastic tubing. Now, I don't, these are narrow rolled straps. I like a fine rolled strap, so I'm not using that. I'm not using plastic tubing. In mine, I've been using this, which is 3mm piping cord. However, I have also done them using these. These are the scrappy bits that you cut off the edge of your foam. You can actually just sliver off 1/4 inch slivers of this, and it makes these just as well as this stuff does. This is 3mm. I've tried 4mm. It's a bit of a push, but it is doable. So if you've got 3mm, then that's better. If not, then you can cut slivers, tiny, just literally 1/4 inch slivers of your foam off. Now we're going to take our ruler at this point, and we're going to make a mark on the back side of our strap, so the side that's got the join on it, that's 2.5 inches from the end. So I'm just going to pop just a very small mark just in the centre. It's just so that I know where my foam goes. And you're going to make another mark at the other end, 2.5 inches from the other end. And your foam piece, or your piece of cord, needs to have the same measurement as the measurement between those two marks. And everybody likes a different length handle. I like my handles longer because I'm tall, and I tend to like to carry things over my shoulder. So you can decide what length you want your handles. Now you're going to lay your piece of foam centrally along your strap. Now you can pop a bit of glue, or you can even put a bit of double-sided tape if you really want to, just to keep it in place. It doesn't need to be absolutely central, but it does need to be contained within that that place. I don't glue mine. Once you've got it centrally, fold the two sides together and clip. So you're butting your foam up against your the back of the strap. So you're going to put lots of clips. Just, you can push the foam in with your finger just to make sure it stays inside. You're making effectively like a sausage roll with your foam in the middle. So if you I just push the foam in with my fingers and clip. Push the foam in with my fingers and clip. Push the foam in with my fingers and clip. Now that's one way of doing it. That's the way, if you haven't got cord, then you can do it with foam, and it gives a slightly less round handle, but it is a rolled handle nonetheless, and it's nice and sturdy, and it's actually quite soft. So, but you do need a lot of clips. I'm going to take this out. I'm just going to pop a piece of the cord in to show you the difference. So I butt my cord up against that 2.5 inch mark, and I start to push it in, and I start to clip. Oops, clips come off, and you can see there's a gap, an opening effectively, so the cord sits quite nicely in there. And I guess you've probably figured it out that we're just going to stitch down the side. So you're going to need to use a zipper foot, or a Teflon zipper foot if you're using faux leather. Just an ordinary zipper foot if you're using fabric. But we're just basically enclosing that piece of cord or the piece of foam, whichever you choose to use, whichever you've got really. I didn't want people to go rushing off and buying piping cord. I know a lot of you will have it, and I know some of you will be able to figure out how to use it, and that's, you know, if you've got it then use it. If you haven't, then you can use the foam. It does work. For a handle this size, it makes very little difference, to be honest. If you were doing a big rolled handle, then yes, it would. You'd need to have something more substantial to give it the shape it needs. So there we go. We have our cord all caught into the middle of our handle, and we've got the 2.5 inches that's free at this end. Now I'm going to take this to the machine and stitch it, and I can show you how we'll attach it to the bag. So that's basically how you do the handles, but I'm going to take it to the machine and we're going to stitch it. No, that's not turned off. Pause, you beggar. Okay, we're back again. Right, I'm at the machine. You must make sure that you've got the same colour in your bobbin as you have on the top, because you're going to see both sides of the stitching. And starting at the point where your cord, just before your cord starts, so if your cord starts at 2.5 inches, you're probably going to come back just a few stitches behind that, because you don't want your cord to show, but you can poke it in afterwards if it feels if you feel it's showing. Now I'm using a Teflon zipper foot, and I'm going to stitch all the way down, closing those two folded edges together. So I'm going to start with, let's just try lengthening my stitch though, because it's at 2, which is too much. And sometimes I feel I have to hold this end just to stop it from, just a couple of back stitches. And make sure that you're going through both sides, because otherwise you'll have gaps in your, I just generally help it through because this is thick. It's not so thick if you're using fabric though. So I've got my hand on the back here, just, I'm not pulling it as such, but I'm just kind of keeping it going through. There isn't a lot of free fabric at the side, so you do have to take it quite slowly. I just think they look really classy. As I say, this isn't actually a strap for anything. I'm just using this as a demonstration. So I'm only doing one end, and I'm just kind of doing enough for you to be able to see how this is going to work. Right, I'm just going to stitch there. So what we end up with is a rather pretty rolled handle that will sit nicely on your bag. And what you're going to do, let's find a piece of hardware, let's find a bag, shall we? The sun is shining through this window, so I'm really not sure if you can even see me because the reflection is so bright. So you'll take the flat part of your strap, you thread it through your strap connector, tuck it up in behind, so it almost pushes right up in behind, and then we're going to pop a rivet through there. And what you end up is with a really classy looking handle. I just think they're fun. But I will show you next how to do the double-sided strap, and that's what I want to do on this one. So that will be the next strap we do. So this is the rolled strap, and this can be done in either faux leather or fabric. If you prefer to make it slightly bigger, or if you've got slightly bigger piping cord, you could make the initial strap a little bit wider, but you still need to narrow the ends because obviously you need to go through this hardware. So you want it to sit through the hardware nicely, and that sits through the hardware nicely. So it's where you're shaping it. You're shaping it so that you don't see the back part of it on the front. So you just get that look, which is really pretty. Can you see that? I think you can. Which is a really, I'm not sure the green goes with the black, to be honest, but it's a look. But that's how you do a basic, simple rolled handle. And it is quite a simple rolled handle. There are much more complicated ones about, but I don't see the point in doing something complicated if you can do it easy. So we'll come back and look at the double-sided strap shortly.